You're listening to the Deep Purple Podcast, a fan podcast about one of the most legendary bands of all time, Deep Purple. We take a look at the music, history, and people behind the band Deep Purple and beyond. Welcome to the Deep Purple Podcast, the first and only podcast devoted to one of the greatest bands in rock history, Deep Purple. Today's episode is episode number 33, Paice, Ashton, Malice, and Wonderland. And coming to you from the frosty beer suburbs of Chicago, I'm your host, Nathan Beaudry.
And coming to you from the suburbs of Providence, I'm your co-host, John Striped Bass Matola.
Every week now, it's just like, okay, I got to figure out what the tenuous connection to Rhode Island is.
That's the state fish.
Striped bass, really?
Yeah. It was named the state fish in 2000, so it's
okay. See,
it's relatively new.
I guess I'd still lived there. I lived there for another 2 years after that, but...
I like your reactions the past 2 weeks. Last week I went, John Calamari Matola. You're like, come on! You're like, give me a break, will you?
Calamari, the official state appetizer.
You're like, what the hell?
Anything that was established in 2000 to me doesn't have any legitimacy. At least say 1999.
Oh, could you picture the people back like in the 1800s or whatever? They're like, that's not real. And now it has to be. So
this thing was only established in 1862. That's not real.
Well, yeah, because that's the way all young men talked back in 1862.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you probably were dead at 30 or something, you know, from consumption.
Well, I mean, you know, the coffee, milk, and all that other stuff we've already taken up. So now I have to kind of go down some roads less traveled.
Well, we are a deep dive podcast, so you're deep diving the Rhode Island stuff. I kind of did mine like the first thing I saw, I didn't think about it, so I was like, a frosty beer. And you're doing some real research, so I got to up my game. I'll start giving you Chicago facts, but I'll have to learn them first.
Wow.
And also, there's not really any suburbs in Rhode Island, you know, not in the way that there are other places. You don't really call them. Like, we all grew up in the suburbs of Providence, but we weren't like, I'm living in the suburbs.
Yeah,
you know, it's not really. It's different. It's a different way of life in Rhode Island.
It is.
So if you want to keep up to date on the show, you can subscribe in Apple Podcasts. You can also follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. All of that information is at deeppurplepodcast.com. 2 ways you can support the show. One is becoming a patron on Patreon for as little as $1 a month. And the second one is writing us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, helping new people discover the show. Speaking of 5-star reviews, we got a new review.
Yeah, finally.
It's a 4-star review, but we'll take it. 4 stars is good.
All right.
So Explorations of gives us a 4-star review and says, Tommy Bolin! Exclamation point. So happy that you guys do intelligent discussion on Deep Purple, but you actually discussed Tommy Bolin's solo and sideman output in the 70s. That was just awesome to hear a discussion about Cobham, Muzan, Energy, Zephyr, etc. They do a great job of discussions as well, and you can tell they have good musical ears.
All right.
I'll take it. Thank you.
I appreciate that.
Good musical ears. All right. So, wow. I feel like there's a lot going on this week. It's only been, we recorded our last episode on Wednesday, right? So it's only been like 5 days.
Yeah.
Wow. I feel like so much went on. So, I hope you don't mind, but Michael, you know, our good friend Michael Erickson, Trinklebonker?
I think, yeah.
Trinklebonker, the scholar, the Deep Purple scholar of yesteryear. Well, he was like, I want to ship you guys something. Where can I ship it? So I hope you don't mind. I give him your address.
Okay.
I gave him my address too. So if he's sending us, if he's gonna try to Unabomber us, then we're both in trouble. But I figure that this guy in Sweden who's spent 30 years being a rock journalist and celebrating Deep Purple, it'd be a pretty long con for him to try to scam us out of anything via the mail.
Yeah, well, the last time you had somebody ship me something, I was like really suspicious. I thought it was anthrax or something.
What was it?
It wound up being like a thing from Pot of Thunder.
Oh yeah, the Pot of Thunder.
I was just like, what is this? And then I opened up, I'm like, yay!
Well, I'm hoping it's to be the same. I have no idea what Michael Erickson has in mind, and I also don't know how long it takes to ship something from Sweden. So if you see anything from Sweden, it's probably something from him.
Cool.
Yeah, I'll ask you next time, but I figured, again, come on. Do you think he's been building these last 30 years of his reputation for this? I doubt it. The other thing is this band. Have you been checking out this band Haze Maze?
No.
So they're on Twitter and they're great. They this isn't really Deep Purple related, so I apologize, but I thought it was worth mentioning on the show. Their album is dropping this Thursday? Yeah, Thursday.
Okay.
So in 2 days. Wait, no, that doesn't make sense. That's Wednesday. The 21st? Oh no, I'm sorry. It's the Friday, the 22nd. It's dropping. They're really kind of like, they remind me of early Black Sabbath. And they gave me an advanced copy of their album, so I feel like a real hotshot. But I do want to play you a little bit because they've got this really cool cool sound to them. So the band is Haze Maze, and this is their album Hymns of the Damned.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. You hear the kind of early Sabbath vibe going on here. This is the first track, Shadow in the Night. A lot of great riffs on this album.
This rocks. Oh yeah, it does sound very Sabbathy.
Sounds like that early Ozzy, like phaser effect on the vocals.
But it sounds really live, really raw.
Yeah, and it's got this whole album just got a really cool vibe. We talk about that a lot on the show, just things that just create this atmosphere, create this vibe, and this whole album just puts you in this little world, and it's awesome. So that's Shadow in the Night. I do want to play part of one other song, and this song's called Thrill Seeker.
Well, I like that.
So that's Haze Maze. I wanted to play some of that for you, and because I figured if you're listening to this podcast, you probably be interested in checking them out. That's cool, guys. Also from Sweden. So that's Sweden-related references.
Yeah, it does have a really cool, like, Sabbath, like almost like garage band, jam band, stoner rock vibe to it.
And it sounds like that kind of like it was almost produced at the same time as Sabbath, yet obviously production wise, with the drums modern, and everything, yeah, sounds a little bit more modern and it's a little cleaner and things, but I think they do a really good job of capturing that style without being like hackneyed or anything like that. I think it's a really cool thing.
Yeah.
So check it out. There's 8 tracks on it. Looks like the album's probably like a little over 40 minutes long, but really good stuff.
All right. Yeah, definitely. I want to check that out.
Then what's that?
my thoughts are coming like late. Like, yeah, I'll check that out more.
It's
later.
It's like, we'll just say there's a lag in the video conferencing today. We must have a bad internet connection. And then I woke up early on Friday to do my interview with Martin Ford.
Yes.
Which was
How was that?
awesome. It was so cool. I mean, he was such a nice guy, and I'll play a couple really quick clips. I figured probably the best thing to do is put up a bonus episode of the full interview, because it's probably a little over an hour. It'd be too much to tack onto an episode, and it's like, then what episode do we put it on? Does it make sense? So I'll release that as a bonus episode. But there's a few things. He unintentionally answered my question. Remember, I keep saying Delane Lee Studios, and I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right. Well, I wasn't, and he said, "Oh, Delane Lee," and I was like, So now I know how to pronounce it. I didn't really ask him. He volunteered that.
Nice.
But he was very funny, very gracious with his time. Told a lot of great stories of just all these people we've admired over the years. So let me see if I can fire up one of these questions.
A little teaser for the bonus episode, the future bonus episode.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the funny thing is I already have the bonus episode scheduled before we even do this one. So yeah, so if you're listening to this on the day it comes out Monday, on Thursday, you'll be listening to this if you would like to check it out. So here's this first part. He talks a little bit about Butterfly Ball, which is the way I got in touch with him and what we first started talking about. So let's listen to, I'm gonna have to raise the volume here, and then let me start this up. Sorry, this is kind of uncharted territory for us here. What time is it? Here we go. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't share it with you.
I'm like, are you playing it yet?
You're just looking at me. I'm like, I don't think he hears this. Yeah, let me start this up.
Yeah, I was giving I don't hear this face.
My career about 1970.
Okay.
So I can't. What year was Butterfly Ball recorded? You'll obviously know. I don't.
It was 1974.
Oh, there we go. So I was comparatively early in my career. I was still really quite a new kid on the block. I was the flavor of the month. I mean, in the music business, when you're in the scene, things go around in cycles, and I just had a couple of huge hits. I got very lucky, and I guess my name was sort of, out there, and people were beginning to know what I was doing. And I don't know how I met Roger, but I suspect I'd started what we call fixing in London. I was what we call an orchestral contractor. That's one of the many strings to my bow. So I formed my own orchestra when I was at the Royal Academy of Music, and that orchestra monopolised the recording industry for about 30 years in London. And I already really was monopolising the industry already by 74. So Roger probably heard about my orchestra, and he invited me to use my orchestra to play on Butterfly Ball. He probably then knew that I played the French horn, which I did. He probably also knew that I was a conductor and arranger. So I remember going to Kingsway Studios and playing French horn on a couple of the tracks so you can hear me. I can't remember what the tracks are called now. Is there one called something about the Herald, something like that? Harold the Herald or something?
There's a character, Harold the Herald, and I know there's a it's probably the song Get Ready, which Glenn Hughes sung on.
Yeah, so if you hear any sort of French horn stuff, fanfare stuff, that's me playing.
Oh, great.
And then he also asked me to do some orchestration. So, and again, you probably know more than I do, because I haven't had time to look at the credits before I spoke to you. But I know that I arranged a couple of the tracks for orchestra, and I can't remember which ones they were now.
So just a quick little snippet of that, which I thought that was cool. He was actually playing that thing on the French horn.
Very cool.
Which is pretty cool. And then one other little quick snippet I've got to play, just because he talks about Johnny Gustafson. And find that one. Here we go.
It's a sort of smart upmarket spa town with 2 private colleges and a grammar school and quite a well-to-do area. I was singing in the local rock band as a lead singer, and just doing covers of Beatles and Stones or whatever. And a group called the Mersey Beats came to the Everyman Theatre, and I went to see them. And on stage was this guy with his hair down to his nipples, playing bass guitar like I'd never seen anybody play bass guitar ever before. And I was just blown away by this bloke called Johnny Gustafson. I'd never heard or seen anything like it before. So I would have been 15 or 16 maybe at the time, maybe 17 or 18, certainly teenage years. 10 years later, Johnny Gustafson and I became really, really close friends, and I worked with him on Butterfly Ball, on Superstar, and we became very close friends. We would see each other. There were like a nucleus of about a dozen of us: Paul Buckmaster, Peter Robinson, Johnny Gustafson, Anne O'Dell, Tony Walmsley, me. A group of us, we hung out every night. If we weren't in the studio, we would be playing, and we'd be over at somebody's house getting wrecked and listening to music. And John and I became really close friends. He played on my album, as you know. And it's just amazing that I should see somebody on stage and be gobsmacked and then become really, really very, very close friends with him 10 years later, which is just wonderful, really. Bless him.
So just a little
Nice.
snippet there. But anyway, it was a really fun discussion hearing all of his great stories, and he couldn't have been a nicer guy. Talks about working. We talked a little bit about Mo Foster. We talked about Yvonne Elliman. Apparently he went out with Yvonne Elliman at one point, which I did not know. Worked with her on Jesus Christ Superstar and stuff. So really cool thing if you're interested in hearing more about somebody that worked with, God, everybody, Rolling Stones, Paul McCartney, you name it. He's Phil Collins, everyone that you can think of. Check out the interview. So, patrons, we didn't thank our patrons. I'm neglecting my duty. Thanks to our patrons, we've got the $5 tier, Clay Wambacher and Steve Seaborg of alltheworldsastage.net, $3 tier, Peter Gardeau and Ian DeRosier, and the $1 tier, Els Murders and Spacey Noodles. Big thanks to our fellow podcasts, Sabbath Bloody Podcast, Skinner Reconsidered, and T-Bone's Prime Cuts. And, of course, the patron saint and archivist of the Deep Purple Podcast, Jorg Planer, we thank you. I told him today about thanking him and everything. He's like, you really don't need to do that. I said, but I'm going to, because you provide us with so much information. Whether I'm asking for it or not asking for it, he's giving me information every day, and really appreciate it. All right. So today we are talking about Paice, Ashton, Lord. We've caught up with almost everybody. And if you're doing the math at home, there's only one more person left that we haven't caught up with since Deep Purple broke up. But today we're catching up with two people. It's a twofer, and that's Ian Paice and John Lord, who didn't go their separate ways, but actually stuck together for a little bit. And this first project they worked on, which is Paice, Ashton, Lord. And you have not had a chance to listen to this yet, right?
Nope.
So you're going to be hearing real time for the second week in a row. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. I'm all out of it. But the last 2 out of 3, you're doing real time reactions, never having heard it before.
Yeah, well, I mean, I have heard Butterfly Ball, but not the live version, and I never saw the movie or the concert. So that was kind of a first reaction.
All right, so we're going to get more of the same. Paice, Ashton, Lord here.
And I don't think that I ever heard it, like, even in the past. So it's the first time I'll hear it ever. Not even like in years. So,
well, it's a very unusual group and unusual album with some just great names in it. So if you're into this kind of music, which if you're listening to this podcast, I suspect you are, you're going to hear a lot of familiar names coming on here. So we have, let's see here. Okay, so leading up to the album, Tony Ashton says, Ian and John approached me with the idea of forming a band. In fact, John had approached me before, and I hadn't liked the idea much because I couldn't see myself as a frontman. I also thought that with John and me both being keyboard players, we'd get in each other's way. I really was never comfortable with the idea of being a lead singer. Ian Paice says that he got a call from John about doing this project with Tony Ashton, and he thought about it for about a week and then sounded like a fun idea, so he decided to do it. Ian said he was excited because he didn't know what to expect, having spent the past 8 or 9 years with Deep Purple in the same band. He didn't know what to expect from putting together this brand new band and a brand new project with them. So you had this core of the three of them. Obviously, the band is named after them, and they had 150 applicants auditioning for bass player and guitarist. And Ian Paice says that in the scene, like, things were very incestuous. It was always the same kind of musicians rotated around. So they wanted to go with some less established musicians and not just pick up like whatever Albert Lee on guitar or whoever was floating around at the time. They wanted to get some new blood. So they held auditions at this old cinema in Fulham, and they selected Bernie Marsden for the guitar and Paul Martinez for the bass. They said they loved Bernie for his confidence. He had been in a band called Babe Ruth, which I have never heard any of their stuff. And he had been recommended by Cozy Powell because Cozy Powell had worked with him in Cozy Powell's Hammer. And Bernie Marsden had also previously been in UFO. And Paul Martinez was from a band called Stretch, also not a band I know anything about. Ian Paice talks about how easy it was in Deep Purple because everyone knew each other so well, and they had that connection. He had that connection with John, but he'd only really ever worked with Tony a few times, and then Paul and Bernie were new, so he was excited about this project. They talk about how, one of the tracks in this album they threw together in 30 minutes. The other one took them 5 days, so they were just kind of locked down in a studio to get this all done. John Lord also talks about keeping humor in music and how when you're working with Tony Ashton, that's very easy to do. As if you know anything about Tony Ashton, he's quite a character. So trying the kind of goal here was, even though there's some pretty serious songs on this album, they weren't taking themselves so seriously. So once they worked out all the songs, they decided to add a brass section to add some color to the song. They knew Howie Casey for a long time, and they described it as stealing him from Paul McCartney because he had been working with Paul McCartney and Wings. He came over to Paice, Ashton, Lord to help them work on the horn arrangements. Then they've got Jeanette and Sheila McKinley, sisters, recruited for backing vocals. And the album title came from a conversation they overheard in a bar in Munich. We couldn't think of a title. I forget who this quote is from. We couldn't think of a title. Then we heard this German guy come out with this remark about Malice in Wonderland, and we thought, that's a good title. I like how they title things back then. They just whatever they heard somebody say that day. So, as we talked about, Ian Paice, Tony Ashton, John Lord, you all know them. Paul Martinez, he had been an accomplished session musician and songwriter. He played with Bernard Purdie, Robert Plant, Cat Stevens, George Harrison, Peter Gabriel, and many, many more. And then we've got Bernie Marsden on guitar, backing vocals. It was in a number of bands like we talked about, but most of his fame would come after this band. He was recommended to join Paul McCartney's Wings, but it never kind of came to fruition. And then, of course, he goes on to become a founding member of Whitesnake, and he played on their first 5 albums, co-writing a lot of songs, including Whitesnake's biggest hit, Here I Go Again. So I'm sure if you asked him about his finances, he'd probably tell you at least 25 to 50% of his income comes from that, residuals from that one song. It's actually something Martin Ford said, too. If you look at his discography, it's hundreds and hundreds of albums, and he says there's probably about 25 to 30 songs that pay all of his that basically just pay all of his bills and give him a retirement fund and everything. So
that's awesome.
If you hit the right song, you're you're gonna do okay. So this album was recorded by none other than Martin Birch. And it was
the
recorded,
Wasp.
The Wasp is back, and I think he's credited as the Wasp on this album.
The Wasp is back.
The Wasp is back. You're going to be in trouble. And it was recorded in 10 days between 20th of September and 30th, 1976. It was released the following year. So there you have it. So the artwork for the album is pretty interesting. You've got this very spooky looking young girl staring at you. And I love
going to be Malice.
That, I guess, is Malice. I mean, who else could it be? You've got that really a really cool logo. I really like the Paice, Ashton, Lord logo. It's very of the time, but looks really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And this was an oil painting by Graham Ovenden, who don't Google him. He seems to be a pretty horrible person. And yeah, let's just say he took a lot of he did a lot of paintings of young children, and there may have been a reason for that. So yeah,
Oh boy.
Googling him does not yield a lot of positive feelings towards the man. So, but as far as I know, he's still alive.
Boo.
Boo to you. It's a cool album cover though.
Yeah.
I always thought that this album cover and the name of the album make it sound like a much heavier album than it is. It makes it sound like it's going to be like almost like it looks like a metal album cover. But
the funny thing is that if you're like us and you look at the names and you know who they are, you're like, this isn't going to be a metal album.
No, exactly.
So like if you took that out of context, like if you were just like somebody that knew nothing about Deep Purple, they'd just be like, oh, this looks heavy.
Yep.
So, but it's still actually I've seen this album cover and everything a lot, but never heard the album. But now actually looking at it, it's actually really cool. I like the colors, how it goes from like the red, warm colors all the way down to the cool colors of like the teal and everything like that. It's a really kind of interesting color scheme in it. It's kind of cool.
And it looks almost like kind of like dirty or smudged in a way, like on purpose, but it's kind of a cool thing. That girl is pretty terrifying. Just staring at you like that. But anyway, that's the album cover. We are going to then just for funsies, we've got the stuff on the inside here too. Pictures of the band at work, and then the lyrics sheets. It looks like Tony Ashton either laughing or crying. And then you've got on the back of the album the pictures of the 5 principal musicians. They don't include the brass section or the backup singers, which is kind of common. So there you go. Ready to dive into this one?
Yeah.
All right. So this album starts off with the first track, which is a track called Ghost Story. Takes a nice dirty organ sound going on. And almost like Stormbringer-esque.
Oh yeah, a little bit.
Synth going on.
This is pretty heavy.
It's got some heavy moments. Kind of discordant.
Oh, I like that.
Nice little intro there.
I was strutting down the road one very dark night. I was drawn to the fields and feeling right. The wind was howling and the rain was coming down, but I was strutting. My car broke down on the other side of town. Started feeling weird and began to slow down. Heard a noise behind me and I turned around, but there was nothing. Absolutely nothing.
What an unusual vocalist.
Very unusual. Yeah.
On the other hand, I'm not the brave kind. I want to tell you now, I really get it right. And things can't go dump in the night. Can you believe it? Conceive it? I thought I dreamed it. Can you believe it? Make no mistake, I kept on strutting. Home, mama, take me home.
Because he's kind of like just
Don't leave me
got this chorus section where you get a little backup, but it's mostly just kind of speaking the lyrics almost.
Come save me from my head. I just wanna be back home, save him bed.
Oh, that takes kind of a getting tighter turn.
Yeah, totally. Paul Martinez laying down a
Wow.
And then you hear like some like percussion work from Ian Paice you don't often hear. At least you've never heard him do Purple, really.
Well, this sounds like it would be like playing in like the back of like a blaxploitation film of the 70s or something.
Totally.
This is really cool stuff.
Kind of in structure, it reminds me a little of Clearer Turbulence, and that it just goes a lot of different places throughout the song.
I was beating fast, the clothes were soaking wet. Don't need to tell you, I was in a cold sweat. And then something started breathing down my neck, and I was running. Can you believe it? Conceive it? I thought I dreamed it. Can you believe it? I just kept on running. Take me home, mama, take me home.
I think that's just Bernie Martin backing him up on vocals there.
Don't leave me here, mama, all alone.
I don't think
Yeah,
they
I
have
only hear a lot of
Hey,
guitar in
mama, come and
this.
save me from my head. I just wanna be back home and save him there, please.
low in the mix in the left channel. Figure you've got Tony Ashton and John Lord's name on the album or in the band.
Hallucinations
Bring the
are
guitar.
getting through. Oh, mama, can I rely on you?
Classic.
Oh, mama,
High up on the neck playing that
feel
bass.
the pain. Right down in the middle of my brain.
Well, I really like that like really dissonant keyboard thing going on in the background.
Really make it work. So that's the album opener from Malice in Wonderland. Definitely an interesting track. So what do you think of that?
I'll say. Ratings wise,
Or, well, even just
going
in
into-
general, before the ratings.
oh, is it a Ghost Story, right?
Yep.
Yeah, no, I think it was I know I like the music. I like how it's like you made a couple of good, or we both kind of drew a couple of comparisons, is that it kind of had like a Stormbringer feel in the beginning, and then it kind of that had a breakdown that reminded me of Getting Tighter, and which you'd think would be a total Bolin Hughes thing, but apparently
John
It
Lord
was.
and Paice were bringing more to that than we thought.
yeah. So there was some interesting stuff. It was cool to hear John Lord and Ian Paice doing like what they were doing like right after, like doing something cool, and I thought it was kind of heavy
Yeah, it had like a very,
mood.
yeah, it definitely set a mood, and it was a very heavy, but in a kind of slow and plodding way.
Yeah.
And I really love the effect he had on that organ, that just kind of rollicking sort of, I don't even know what the heck that effect was, but it's cool.
Yeah, I think the only thing that I'm wondering is like how the rest of the album is going to sound, because right now, like I like that song, but I'm really not a fan of Tony Ashton's surly vocals.
Surly.
It does. He's got these just like, I mean, it was fine in the Butterfly Ball, just because he was just doing the drunk guy vocals, or it had this character or whatever. But I don't know. I feel like this song could have used like, a Coverdale style vocalist. Like if this was like Paice Coverdale Lord, maybe. Like I think that like an actual vocalist would have been better. Instead, he was just kind of like slurring his way through like the the vocals, but which I don't know if that was his shtick or if he was actually drunk or whatever. I know we were talking about it
Yeah,
before,
I mean, I think
but
that was just kind of his thing. That's
Yeah.
kind of, I mean, that's kind of what you hear throughout his career. But it raises
Yeah.
the question of, and listening to this in a more critical light here today, is that going to, how much is that going to wear on you? And I'm sure it was a big piece of why this was not a commercial success.
Yeah, I mean, curious choice to why they pushed him so hard to be a vocalist when clearly he's not.
Right.
Yeah, so that really kind of bugs me. Like I'm wondering if the whole album's going to be like this. It's going to be a tough listen, I think. Except for the fact that like I'm thinking about like the parts of it that I like without the vocals, but
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know. Maybe they'll do other stuff on here where it'll fit in, like on the Butterfly Ball. We'll see.
All right.
But I like the music a lot and the arrangement and everything. But I think a lot of this I'm gonna have to take away points from for the vocals. So I'm gonna have to give it like a 3.
All right.
Like I think I might have given it a 4 if like Coverdale had sang on it or something like that. But
I will give it a 4. I do like, and I've had a bit more time with this album under my belt, and kind of grown up being used to it. So, but it does, I want to say before we move on that the rest of the album probably isn't quite that. I mean, you're always going to have that style with his vocal delivery, but I don't think it's as severe, but I might be remembering incorrectly too. So we'll go to the next track, which is called Remember the Good Times. A little bit more of an upbeat song.
I'm already liking the groove that they're laying down here. Nice like live feel.
Yeah.
Like you can hear the echo in like the room. You can hear like the band playing together.
And this is the same studio that recorded Slumberland, Musicland in Munich.
I like it.
So he's doing a little bit more singing, less of the talking in this one.
All right, his vocals are a lot better on this one, yeah.
And it's he's got a very interesting voice.
Yeah, he still does. Like I could still hear like the drunkenness.
And I think that's just how he sounded whether he's drunk or not.
Yeah.
He's not burping, so he might be sober. And I think that's Bernie Marsden kind of singing more in this part. It almost sounds like Tony Gold. Kind of reminds me of Tommy Bolin too, when I think about it.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because we just listened to Teaser, but this part not so much, but the vocal delivery in the chorus. I love that little. This is once again, you've got the guitar in the left channel and the organ is kind of hand off to the right back there.
Yeah, you're right. That does sound like Bolin vocals.
Yeah. Maybe Bernie Marsden's voice just sounds similar. I really love the horns on this whole album. They're great. great guitar solo.
Yeah.
Just love this. The older I get, the more I just really appreciate this well thought out and played guitar solos, not this, you know, dweedly sort of stuff. It just really fits it for the song so well.
I like the bass. The bass is fat.
It's got a great tone. It sounds very similar to like Hughes' tone on the later Purple albums. I mean, same studio, same producer. I don't know what kind of rig he was using, but
Yeah, but I like that really like prominent, like in the mix, grinding bass.
yeah.
And it goes well with the keyboards too, because they all have that kind of same like.
Yeah, you got these just dirty, distorted keyboard sounds, these dirty, distorted guitar sounds, and this kind of like clavinet.
I definitely wasn't expecting this from John Lord. Like this kind of like it almost sounds damn funky.
And I also don't know where the lines are drawn between what John Lord's doing and what Tony Ashton's doing.
Right. But I mean, like so far, this whole album is like, I don't know, just in like a really like kind of funky rock direction, like almost like when they split off from Coverdale and Hughes, like they
were
kept
still
some
in
of
the come taste the band mindset.
Yeah, but it was like, but a little different, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, it's not as like over the top as like Glenn Hughes when he went on his own, but it was still kind of retained some of that.
Yeah.
I like it.
What were you, just out of curiosity, what were you expecting from this album? Were you expecting more of like a classical angle, or what do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe from like John Lord. Yeah, I think I was expecting something like a little more like I know like he had done other solo projects, and Roger Glover were like these kind of like projects, not really like an album full of songs. It was, you know, kind of like, you know, Movement One and all this kind of stuff type of,
right.
You know, so
the stuff he had done, like Windows and the stuff like that.
Yeah, so I thought maybe it would be like that, and then with Tony Ashton singing, it kind of turned me off a little bit, because I'm just like, all right, I don't want to hear a whole album full of like,
I was on the hair and I was strutting.
You know, so I'm just kind of like, and that first song was kind of like, yeah, that's what I was kind of expecting. But I was surprised by this one, which even though his voice is not my favorite, but it definitely was cooler on this one. I still like, I'm picturing the songs being sung by Coverdale. Like it would have been way cooler with Coverdale.
Well, that's true of a lot of things.
But all I'm saying, that's like my first thing is like when I hear the songs, I'm just like, I hear like Coverdale's voice would have been perfect for it. Like it's,
yeah, I mean, he's got kind of the same register as Coverdale. It's just obviously the delivery is much different.
Yeah, but anyways, that notwithstanding, I think this song is like a lot cooler. I love the music in both of them, but I'll give it a 4 because like I can actually stand the vocals.
I will give it a 4 as well. I do really like that song. Next up is the song called Arabella. I like how you feel like you know where it's going with that clinky piano, and it kind of throws this in there. I always love that.
Oh,
I knew you were gonna like that. the breath of a serenader. This song is about the Hotel Arabella, which is the hotel that the Musicland studio is in the basement of.
Oh, I like that kind of Stormbringer sounding keyboard synth going on underneath there.
Yep. And then you've also got that really like fighting bass too. He must be using like a Rickenbacker. He's got that very like treble forward bass. Yeah, I could be completely wrong. I don't know.
Tell me of the night you've given shadows away.
Trying to look up pictures of Paul Martinez to see what he's playing in his live shows.
You see, now on this song, it sounds like Ashton is trying to sing too. So
Yeah.
I like the background vocals too. I like the addition of that. I think it's cool.
Yeah.
The female vocalist.
Yeah, they're great. And it's interesting they just went with two of them. Normally you almost always see three.
Watch out, because there may be times when angels come around.
But I think the whole point of that ghost story song was that he was like telling this ghost story. Now he's actually singing. But it looks like he's using a either a percussion bass or a jazz bass on this live show. So.
Oh, tell me of the nights you've given shadows away.
Oh yeah. You know I'm digging that.
Of course. I like that it's kind of like Arabella. Could be a woman, could be this hotel.
Yeah, I thought it was a woman. I thought that was the title of it was a girl's name.
So did I until I pieced together, oh, Arabella. They were, I knew the hotel from doing the Stormbringer episode, so.
Oh.
You get that percussive organ, you get that little envelope filter on the... It's got to be in the synth that's got that envelope on it. Ooh.
Whoa. Sax solo.
Thought you were getting out of the song without a sax solo. Thought wrong.
Wow, it all seems to really fit together.
Yeah, this is an incredible outfit when you think about it. It just kind of fell apart, unfortunately. Got some great drum fills going on. All right.
Oh, an outro sax solo even.
Outro sax solo. That's just downright sexy. Arabella.
Wow, I'm surprised at how much I like that one.
Yeah, that's a good track.
Yeah, it was really good. There's just like a lot of different elements in there, and they just all work. I mean, whatever vibe I think they had going on for this album, like, is working.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So 4 for me.
Yep,
you know what?
I'm keeping steady with the 4s myself on this one.
Starting to get a little more into Tony Ashton's style of singing because he's actually trying. You know, he's not doing that whole together again thing. Which I swear to God, that's what I thought the whole album was going to be, and I was going to be like,
You're like, it's going to be a Warhorse all over again.
Oh God, it was just going to be him like slurring and belching like all over every song. Like what the hell?
No, Tony Ashton's he's good. I'd be interested in the context of this album if you would view it differently if we listen to it again at the end. We're not going to do that, but.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like that's also based on my knowledge of like hearing him like once only on the Butterfly Ball, and that's it. and just being like, oh, okay, so he's just this raging alcoholic who thinks he's a vocalist. And then just surprised at how much everybody loved him during the live version. Like he was like some kind of friggin' I mean, he was a celebrity, obviously.
They were all
celebrities.
celebrities.
Yeah, but I mean, just everything he was doing, people were like reacting like to it like way.
Well, I think if you see him perform, and even like his performances, there's a great live performance on YouTube of Paice, Ashton, Lord, I think doing this full album. And I think they only played 5 shows or something. I got it on my notes here for later, but yeah, I mean, what an ensemble to put together for this, but his live presence on the stage and the faces he makes, and it's just like, whoa. And these are the days before you have the singer's face on a big screen behind them so that everyone can see it. So I can only imagine nowadays the reaction that would get from the audience.
Yeah.
Okay, next track up is a track called Silas and Jerome. Squealing organ. So nice.
Another Come Taste the Band sounding track.
It does. I never really thought about it before, but you're right.
Jeez.
Now dig this. I was grooving down the road just the other day. I saw this little newborn thing just passing by my way. I said, listen, baby, I'm a rock and roll star, and I got some news for you. She turned around and looked at me just like she came out of school, and she said, you're cool. I said, that's true. She said, you're very cool, man. I said, so are you, baby. She said, what time do you play? 'Cause I might just be able to stay. I thought I was beginning to get through. I smiled as I put my hand on my coat, and I said, I'm a man for you.
So there he's kind of doing like the spoken word thing, almost just like this little interlude, you know?
Yeah, he's slipping back into that other territory that I'm not crazy about.
I tried to drug some air. I said, we are playing down the hall tonight. It'd be nice if you got it there.
I just love how he starts the song with, now dig this.
Me too.
It's hard to beat that.
I gotta give him that. He starts off the past couple of songs with something really interesting. At first was that rolling R.
I said to all my friends, she's coming down to the gig.
Nice, good stuff. Tasty.
Great feeling from those solos.
So she came out back after the show, and her friends came with her too. Mom with a great big car on his face, and Mom from the local zoo. I said, hey baby, can we go someplace? Just you and me alone. She said, this is my boyfriend Silas, man, and my big kid brother Jerome. I said, oh, shame on you.
I love that part.
I could not believe, and it was true. But I suppose on the whole, that's rock and roll.
Love this like blood, sweat, and tears sound and stuff here. And that's interesting because I'm not usually like the biggest fan of like storytelling in songs, but I thought that it's kind of like it's almost like a guy doing stand-up, you know? He's like, I saw this nubile young girl, and I was like, hey baby, and she's like, hey baby, and I'm like, oh, come see my show. And then she comes see the show, and he's like, oh, this is my boyfriend Silas and my big brother Jerome, and he's like, and he goes, oh, shame on you. It's, you know what I mean? It's like, it's almost like he's setting up a joke.
Yeah.
It's very unusual. But I dig the blood, sweat, and tears vibe from the horns.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Marsden's guitar playing is just great. And when he comes in with those solos, it's like very, sometimes guitar solo is just so formulaic. It's like, yep, here's the time. Guess it's time for a guitar solo. But I feel like when they come in, it's so, you're almost not expecting it because there's so much going on with the horns and the keyboards and everything that when it comes in, you're like, whoa, a tasty guitar solo from Bernie Marsden.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely had some like cool, like it was a cool arrangement. It was the way that the song was, the musical breaks and stuff like that. Like the dum bam 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 bam.
Yeah.
That was some cool stuff. There was some cool dynamics. That's what I'm trying to say. Cool dynamics in the song. Like, I'm really digging the music so far on the album. I mean, it's, not hard to.
Yeah.
Oh, gee, I wonder why
they have. It's not surprising. Yeah.
Gee, I wonder why it's so good. But I think once again, I'm gonna have to drop my rating to a 3 because Tony Ashton does not do it for me on this song.
When he does that style, yeah. I'll give it a 3.5 on this one.
I mean, it's definitely, I'm not going to take away from the fact that it's interesting, it's unique, it's something different. It's just not really what I hope for when listening to this.
Yeah, it's not your style. All right, next track up is called Dance With Me, Baby. That's got to be Tony Ashton. That's kind of his style.
Now, for the next episode of Will and Grace. Yeah, I'm digging this.
Almost an elf sort of vibe to it.
Yeah.
Almost doing an Elvis thing there.
Come on, dance with me, baby. Is that all right?
All right. I like it. All right.
Is that all right? Good. Just one more time. I'm gonna make you mine. Just one more time.
I think that's him and Marsden trading
Now
off.
would you be so kind? Yeah, yeah. Shake it, baby. Shake it, baby. Shake it with me, baby. For goodness sake, it with me, baby.
Shake it with me, baby. For goodness sake, it with me, baby.
Come on, make it with me, baby. Did you say all right? Oh, they said all right. All right. All right. Yeah. Just one more time. I'm gonna make you mine. Just one more time.
It's probably the most straightforward song we've heard so far.
This is really good.
I wonder if they had incorporated more of the kind of vocal arrangement of this song with Bernie Marsden and the backup singers and some of the other songs that might not be more up your alley.
Come on, dance with me, baby. Everything will be alright. Alright.
That's got to be an intentionally like Elvis kind of thing
Oh
going on
yeah,
there.
I mean, yeah, that sounds like something that would have been on Share Kazoo.
Yeah, yeah, being covered, but I haven't. I've been very bad at saying who wrote what songs. That song was written by. All of the songs are written by Paice, Ashton, Lord, except for Arabella, which is Tony Ashton.
Oh,
And then this one was Paice, Ashton, Lord. And there's a couple that were, the second track was all 5 of them. And then the next track we're going to do is Paice, Ashton, Lord, and Marsden. So I've been neglecting my duties there.
boo. I'm into booing lately.
I know, apparently, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that one was cool. I feel like that's the one that you like put on to like get the party going.
Yeah.
You like want to bring up the mood and you're like, come on, everybody, let's drink and be like, woo, you know, like
dance with me, baby.
Yeah, it's got that really kind of, like you said, that elf, rockabilly, Cher Kazoo, Elvis type, you know, that 50s rock type of thing that they were probably throwing it back to.
Yeah.
And it was like, it was cool. It wasn't too complicated.
No, it's so straightforward compared to the arrangements on the other song. This is just a straight ahead blues rocker.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's not what we term a lazy blues song, a lazy blues rocker. It was fun. I liked it. I actually liked Ashton in this one.
And it's funny because on this song he shows, I mean, he can sing. He just tends his style is to go into that kind of more rapping spoken word almost sort of thing.
Yeah. But yeah, so I like that one a lot. So that one gets a 4 from me.
All right, I'm going to enter the world of the 4s as well. I really like that one. Okay, next track up is called On the Road Again. Started off with some great drums by Mr. Paice. I'm really digging that bass sound.
Yeah.
You get out of there. Examine your head.
So good.
There's a lot going on here.
A lot of funky little organs, clavinets, guitars.
To have a little drink, keep yourself sane.
Yeah, and that's going to be Marsden with a bowling sounding voice.
Another holiday in. And then you shave your chin.
I love that line. Another holiday in, and then you shave your chin.
Gotta get down, we gotta go. And then it's back in the car, and on with the show. Round and around, town to town. One day you're up, the next you're
I wonder if Ian Paice came up with this beat and then he wrote the song around it. It has the hallmarks of that. Like the guitar solo going through another repetition of the chorus. That's really cool. He's got some great harmonies going on with the guitars too, the double tracking.
And then after the show, you got nowhere to go. It drives you insane. So you have a little
might be a little bit more familiar with Bernie Marsden's backing vocals and music on the Whitesnake, right? You're more of a Whitesnake scholar than I am. Does this sound familiar?
Oh, here comes the sax again.
Yeah. Hold that thought. Oh, a trumpet too. Oh, for good measure. You thought fading out a sax solo was good. What about fading out a sax and a trumpet trading off solos?
Like, dueling.
Next level, fading out the dueling.
Yeah, you never hear dueling sax / trumpet.
I know. That's
wow.
Great.
You're right. That is next level.
And a lot about this band is next level. The world was not ready for Paice, Ashton, Lord.
Apparently not.
All right. Well, what do you think of On the Road Again?
Yeah, I give it again another 4.
Yeah, I'm going to do the same.
That one had a lot going on there.
A great track.
Yeah, it was just, the production of the album overall is like really good too, because you listen to the music and it's just, you can hear like all the, even with that song, there's like a ton of stuff happening and you can just pick out all the instruments separately. They're not all muddied together. And I don't know, it's just like you enjoy it when you get those little breaks where you're like, and it's just like you could just hear it all, and like you're just, it's like sensory overload. You're like, it's so good. I don't know.
And it doesn't sound like they're fighting for space. Like everything's recorded and engineered in a way that it's EQ'd in a way so that everyone's got their own little space. It doesn't sound jumbled. It would be very easy to have that many instruments sound jumbled, but you're also dealing with a room full of world-class musicians who really know how to play, and they're just tight as hell. Just great.
Yeah, and for like the bass player and the guitar player being the new guys,
yes,
they gel pretty well, I think.
They sure do. Okay, next track up is called "Sneaky Private Lee." Starting it off a little slow. Have that guitar work on that. This is such a snarling bass tone. It's so good.
Jeez, this could have been like on Come Taste the Band. Seriously.
Yeah. Minus the horns.
Minus the horns.
Would have been great. I would love to hear horns. I will never say no to horns.
Yeah, but they fit right in.
I'm privately detective. You can see me on the big bad screen. I'm not clean, obscene, not anything but the baddest you've ever seen.
So this one was written by
I'm a thorn in your side,
Paice, Ashton, Lord, and
pain in
Marsden.
your hide, and I'm mean. And for anyone who pays me, I'll walk in and I'll screw up your scene.
This is just kind of written about like a TV detective sort of guy.
Sometimes you'll find me in Milwaukee, LA, Detroit, DC, or New York, even Boise, New Jersey, or someplace in downtown Orleans.
An American cop, apparently. Kind of bringing the album down. It's almost their ballad until we get to a few songs later. Or the next one.
The guy inside who's serving time, he had the nerve to try and cut me.
That thing in the right channel. Another one of those really, really aggressive envelopes on like either a synth or an organ. Sounds great.
Yeah.
Make no mistakes, I'm no dreamer. I'm a wheeler, a dealer, and a schemer. Whoa, peeping, creeping, sneaking, privately.
Almost sounds like a Tommy Bones solo there. Never mind his vocals.
Sometimes you'll find me in Milwaukee. LA,
I wonder what the inspiration was for this song about a fictitious American TV detective.
Yeah.
When you see me, I might forgive you.
Said something in
If you
the
think that
background there.
always
You hear him say
make my
probably.
kill.
I don't know what that was all about.
Privately, he's not real.
I mean, he said privately.
Only pays my rent in Beverly Hills. All right.
You can see why they stole this horn arranger from Paul McCartney. Looking at the liner notes, he is credited as the Wasp on this album.
Ah, the
He
Wasp.
does all his best work as the Wasp.
Yeah. Not as good when he's Sir Larry.
Sir Larry is like, oh, I'm not really going to give my all to this album. I'm phoning it in on this one. No offense intended towards any Sir Larry albums. I don't know what they are.
And forget it, if he's credited as Disappearing Armchair, just then.
He had his assistant do all the work. Get the long fade out on this song. The minute long fade out. All right. As this fades out, that was Sneaky Private Lee. I don't know why he's so sneaky.
Indeed he was.
Didn't seem- That's a weird one. All right. What do you think of Sneaky Private Lee?
Sneaky Private Lee. I feel like that one was it was pretty decent, but it was like I feel like it was a filler track, you know? It was like it was a little long, and like I when we were like talking mostly through it, and to me that just indicates I wasn't very interested in it. So I was just kind of like, meh, so 3.
Yeah, I'm gonna give that one a 3 too. I think it was, some of the other songs are this long on the album, but they go a lot of different places and have breakdowns and things like that. And this one was, like you said, it has the most so far. I think, if memory serves, it seems like it's the only filler track on the album. But it does seem like, yeah, to have a 6 minutes long song about that, it's a little weird. It's an odd song, but there's a lot of really cool instrumentation going on, of course.
Oh yeah, yeah. I just feel like, this is probably the one, kind of throwaway song for me. Like right now, it just wasn't too interesting. Nothing stood out about it.
Yeah, nothing crazy. Okay, next song up is a song called I'm Gonna Stop Drinking.
Autobiographical, maybe?
Yeah, this one. Well, take a listen. I don't want to give it away.
I came round this morning and I was feeling like hell. Telephone exploded. I went, oh, that bell, it sounded so loud in my head. I actually thought I was dead. Yeah, okay, bye. Leave me be. I'm gonna lay down and cry. I get this feeling every time that I'm dry. Just hand me 3 fingers, and the longer it lingers, I begin to feel high. Spirit, here's my glass, will you please fill it? I'm not gonna spill it.
Little bass. So you've got his kind of spoken word thing going on, obviously. Really great chorus. And I love that he's just, saying he doesn't want water, lemonade. He just wants some 3 fingers of a spirit. He wants to
Yeah, I'm kind of not digging this one.
Just give me time to readjust me. Why does no one seem to trust me? Well, why don't you come along if you like, and you can bust me?
It's funny because when the backup singers are singing,
Yeah.
they're kind of keeping the rhythm and the melody, but it's kind of all, they're saying, oh, that I need,
Don't
and
worry, I ain't
like,
gonna
oh,
spill it.
that I need. And he's kind of,
No.
here it is.
All that I need is that pen in my hand, and I'm fine. Oh,
But once again, doing that drunk character, I'll put character in for
The drunken character.
Don't try to trick me into thinking I'm gonna get better someday. All you gotta do is give me that thread in my hand, and I'm gonna show you all the way. I'm gonna stop drinking. I know what you're thinking, but I'm gonna stop drinking. Someday.
I always really liked the end of that song. Like to me, this song is just a real cry for help, you know.
Yeah.
And it's that ending where he's, you know, he's like, is he trying to convince you or trying to convince himself? Like, I'm gonna stop drinking. I'm gonna stop drinking. And there's this long pause, and he goes, "Someday." You know, and it's you know, it's funny, but it's sad, and it's I don't know. That song was always very moving to me when it comes on in the mix. You know, it's got, I think it's got a great chorus, but it does have that spoken word thing that you don't particularly care for.
Yeah, again, I'm hearing well, this song was just kind of meandering to me. It was like, didn't interest me.
Mm-hmm.
I think if it had different lyrics and a different vocalist, it could have been better.
Mm-hmm.
That's just what I'm thinking. Like, it could have been like, if it was like sung and it had, you know what I mean? Because the music and everything is still good, and you know, the chorus was kind of good, but for me, it was just kind of another snoozer. Like I said, I don't really, you know, the whole Tony Ashton thing just doesn't do it for me when he does that. So
you have to have the David Coverdale remix of this album for you.
that's what I was thinking. Like, we need some Coverdale in there. So, so yeah, 3.
I'm gonna give it a 4, and only on the strength of the ending of the song. I feel like it's, like I said, it's always been really moving to me, and it's just kind of like I've lived a privileged and fortunate life, and I've never had to deal with addiction to anything other than coffee. 8 years coffee free. But yeah, that always kind of just, I always felt like I could feel what he was going through by listening to this song, talking about, you know, waking up in the morning feeling incredibly shitty and all the stuff he's going through. And then, you know, at the end of talking about all this, you know, terrible stuff, at the end, he's, you know, like I said, I'm going to stop drinking someday. You know, it's sad. But anyway, that is, I'm going to stop drinking. And the next song is the title track. That's right. Malice in Wonderland.
All right, I like where this is going.
Yeah, they're not gonna leave me on that down note. Great tone of the organ. A little bit of a different effect on the voice on this one.
Nice.
It was also a little bit like Lemmy on this. Wasn't it?
I
Really
that's good.
made that connection before. Wow, nice little bass round there.
Song's got a great groove.
Yeah. Are you talking about hearing Coverdale? I'd like to hear Hughes on this one.
Now I can only think of this Lemmy singing this.
So much, so busy.
It's awesome.
You don't seem to know wrong from right. I look at you and I lose my appetite. You know you're playing around.
drum work, like something's about to go down, I can feel.
Just what I made out to wash out later through. Black man, white man, maybe someone just like you. Wake up, come alive, you know we're all gonna be. If you wanna mess it up, then don't bother listening to me. No, no. You don't seem to understand. You're the reason for Malice in Wonderland.
Love John Lord on the piano.
I think that's Ashton.
Think so?
I think so. Could be.
Do they break down like who does the solos or
No.
in the credits? No.
Oh, this I think would be John Lord.
Oh yeah.
That sounds like John Lord right there.
That was awesome.
Yeah, nice
That-
outro.
that's a way to end the album.
So there you go. That was Malice in Wonderland, the song and the album.
That one's kind of tough because I liked it, but I felt that this one was a little. It felt long. It felt meandering.
Yeah,
A
I
little
think
bit.
a few of the tracks on this album are a little too long for what they've got going. I mean, they've all got amazing grooves and great instrumentation, a lot of cool stuff going on.
I feel like it was top heavy though. Like it started off well. I mean, maybe not the first song, but like the beginning to the middle of the album had all the good songs on them, and then it just kind of ended off on like three, just kind of.
Yeah.
This one I give a 3.5 because I liked it, but even Ashton's vocals I liked, but it just seemed like kind of felt kind of long.
Yeah, it didn't feel like it necessarily went anywhere.
Yeah. But it was still good. I mean,
I am also giving it a 3.5.
I mean, that being said, I mean, the whole album I thought was, as a whole, was pretty good. Like I would like pick out certain tracks and listen to it again, I think for sure.
I always kind of think of I'm Gonna Stop Drinking as one of the standout songs on the album, but listening to it again, I'm thinking I still do like it, and I like the sentiment behind the song, but I think there's other songs that are stronger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. So in true fashion, you rated the album higher than me. You seem to be you rate all the albums higher than me.
You're just tough, man. I'm a pushover.
I am. Yeah, I'm a very well. You know me. I've always been that way, even when we were younger. Just like, I'm not gonna give this what it's due. I'm gonna be a hard ass.
I'm gonna make it work for it.
Yeah, I'm gonna make you work for it. Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, and I only ranked it 0.28 higher than you. Not anything crazy, but
No, so the combined total of the album for us was 7.28, which is very very close to such things as Play Me Out, Share Kazoo,
no, I'm sorry. Yeah, sure, Kazoo. Yeah, sorry.
Fireball.
Yep.
Even like, wow, who do we think we are got a little bit of a higher rating than that, but they're all in the same ballpark.
Yeah, well, I was doing the heavy lifting on who do we think we are.
Yeah.
It wasn't thanks to you.
Yeah. Yeah, no, all 2s and 1s, and no, I didn't give them 2s and 1s.
Did you give Place in Line a 2?
Did I?
I
don't
feel
know.
like if you could go back in time, you would definitely give it a 2.
What did I give Place in Line? Do you remember?
We can look it up here. Let's let me sort this by album. I'm just gonna do select all, and then we can go back here. Oops, I didn't apply it. All right, so we go back to who do we think we are? Place in Line. You gave it a 3.
Oh, what? Oh. I want to redo. I got to go. Where is that? I got to go back and give it.
No, it's gonna mess everything up. You can't.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But if we ever have to go back and if I have redo, I'm gonna definitely go back to that one and give it like a 1.5.
Well, 100 episodes from now, when we're like, we're gonna revisit who do we think we are. By that point, you're gonna give it like a -2.
Oh yeah, I mean, especially after the stuff that we've been hearing, it's just like because really, if you like seriously, you listen to that album and you think that like everybody on that album, it just like sucks, and then you hear everything that they did, like not even like what 6 months, a year later, and you're like, oh, okay, they're still awesome. They just sucked together.
Yeah.
Which was so unfortunate, but we've already been over all that.
Listen to episode number, whatever that is, about who do we think we are.
Malice in Wonderland overall was really good. I liked the Wasps' production on it. The musicianship was great. I didn't realize there were so many cool players on it. Like who was the bass player again?
Paul Martinez.
Boy, he was damn good.
Excellent, yeah.
Like all the players were good. Like they sounded good. They played good. Tony Ashton's a wild card for me. Like if he was like just on keyboards and piano or whatever, and they got another singer, like, I think the album would have been much, much higher for me.
He's kind of like a reverse Glenn Hughes. It's like Glenn Hughes oversings. He tends to oversing, and Tony Ashton tends to undersing. Like the guy can sing.
Yeah.
Just kind of.
But I
he
think
gets into this. His kind of style is this very sloppy sort of. He just
sloppy. He's sloppy.
Yeah, but on purpose. He's not doing it because he can't.
Oh yeah, no. But I'm just saying, like, if that's your style, if you like that kind of stuff, then you'll like this album. Or if you like his type of stuff, then that's for you. That is not for me. Like I like guys that like will. Actually sing, like hit the high notes or try to be like, real like rock star type of vibe, and not like he's more like quirky and stuff like that, and that's just not for me. So let's start a petition to get this album redone with Coverdale's hashtag Coverdale, Lord, and Paice.
Yeah, that would be Coverdale, Lord, and Paice.
Yeah, or hashtag Coverdale, Paice, Lord. There we go.
Yeah, there you go.
Coverdale should be first. Yeah.
I think he's one of those classic singers who, on a various artists album like Butterfly Ball, when he just does his one track, it's great and it's a standout. It's kind of fun. Yeah. And same thing with Wizards Convention when he does that Swanks and Swells. Like those are Swanks and Swells. Those are all. That's so. It's funny and it's like lighthearted and but having back to back songs with him as the lead man. And I even with Ashton, Gardner, and Dyke, I don't feel like he was quite that way, but maybe this was at this point what he was stylistically wanting to do.
Yeah. I mean, like for me, I think that, I like my singers or my vocalists to be like really like serious, like a Ronnie James Dio approach.
Yeah.
Like, you know, he was like never like, all right, I'm not fucking around. Like I'm going all in. I'm going for it. I'm serious. I'm committed like to this whole concept and everything. And he didn't do anything like kitschy or shtick. And even when he did stuff that other people would laugh at and be like, ha ha, rainbows and dragons, it's like,
But he was dead serious about it.
oh
Yeah.
God, yeah. And that's what he did it with conviction. So it's like you couldn't laugh at it and be like,
Can you
know what I
imagine
mean?
if like Dio was just like, and there was a dragon, and I think a castle. He's just being all like sloppy about it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like some of those, like there are some themes in songs, or even ways that you can approach them that could be like really, they're borderline. They could be borderline corny, but I think it just really depends on how much integrity you go into it with, you know. So that's like, I think Ronnie's like the perfect example, because you could take any of the themes that he's saying and just put like a really like shitty 80s vocalist over it and just be like, oh yeah, that's no, like, you know, hey, let's get the singer from Anvil, and like, you know, just be like, ugh.
Well,
You know,
Ronnie, like, it just like famously just never phoned it in ever.
yeah.
Like, I'm not a scholar at all, and somebody might correct me, but I don't remember ever seeing like, oh yeah, that performance, yeah, Dio just wasn't on top of his game that night or whatever. Like, there's no stories like that I'm aware of. He's just always on,
No, me neither.
always delivering.
No, well, let's end that right now. I'm a Dio scholar. He never phoned it in. The end. So, but even when you were mentioning before, like that vocal that where Ashton sounded kind of like Lemmy. Lemmy's like another one where he sang about like all this like crazy stuff over the years, but he was just like, I don't care what anybody thinks. I'm just like, I'm 100% committed to it. You know, and
he sounded like he was gargling razor blades for his entire life. The guy's voice was just,
yeah.
I mean,
But
I was never like a huge, I don't know barely anything about Motorhead, so I'm not trying to knock him, but yeah, from what I've heard, his even his speaking voice is just like, wow, how can that guy?
Yeah, but it's just take your pick of like anybody. So it's I think it's how you approach it. And I think, like, you know, if you enjoy Ashton's approach, it's definitely an acquired taste. But
Yes.
Overall the album is pretty awesome. I love the musicianship. It's a lot different than what I thought it would be. Like I said, I thought it was going to be some kind of like, you know, like highbrow, like definitely not as like funky and rockin' and like as it was. Like it's really as close to kind of Come Taste the Band / Stormbringer.
Yeah, and that's something I never really even thought about until you brought it up. And on this listen, it definitely does have a lot of those elements.
Yeah, late 70s vibe, like in a good way. Like,
sure.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to doing this in reverse sometime soon on a future episode where we listen to an album that I either haven't heard at all or very barely heard and you're very familiar with, so we can get my first impressions on one of these things. That'll be coming up in the new year for sure.
Yeah, I'm wondering if there are any of those.
Oh, there's plenty. Like I said, I mean, I never really listened to a ton of Whitesnake. I listened to David Coverdale's solo stuff, and I listened to the first couple of Whitesnake albums, but I didn't get too far beyond that. Just knock something over
here. You're getting too into it. Anyway,
hey, I'm Italian. I talk with my hands, you know.
What's the matter for you, huh? Nice butterfly ball with a nice marinara. No, we already did that one.
Yeah, we already did that. Sorry.
We already did that shtick. All right.
It never gets old, though, right?
Nah.
All right. So as far as this album goes, after it was released, Ashton says, he says basically this album achieved what they were trying to achieve with him and John Lord's first album, the first of the big bands, which they did, I think it was 74. He says he feels they achieved a tighter version of that thing that they were going for with that album. And that album's got some really good stuff on it too. So after just 5 gigs, as I said earlier, they split up while they were working on a second album in Munich. And people are a little cagey about it. And I'm sure in Tony Ashton's book, which I haven't read yet, unfortunately, he gets a little more into it, but it sounds like he may have had a nervous breakdown. There was a lot of stuff going on. Well, while they were working on this album in Munich, it was there that Bernie Marsden met David Coverdale, and it was through the recording of the second Paice Ashton Lord album that Whitesnake kind of got off the ground.
Cool.
And that album would never be released, but eventually it would come out, of course, all the rough mixes as bonus material, something we could cover sometime in the future. There is I'm going to put a link in the show notes to the great live concert in 1977, a full concert of this band performing. And again, you can really see Tony Ashton's like personality and a kind of crazed stage presence. But Ashton says, it didn't really work on stage. We were very happy with the album, but I couldn't cut the mustard up front. I actually fell off the stage at the Rainbow Theatre concert in London. I went down well, but after that, the band more or less fizzled out. So apparently the fall was no joke. He fell 12 feet.
Jesus.
And they had to drag him back up on the stage, and they said Ian Paice played a half an hour drum solo while they kind of got him ready to finish the show. So again, they went to Munich to work on the second album, but they abandoned the project. Ian Paice says, it was a great idea. It was built around Tony Ashton and his ability to make an audience love him. Tony still has that ability, but the audience had better not be bigger than 300. He loves his club atmosphere. Then Paice also says, it was an experiment that cost John and I a fortune, but I'm glad we did it. And then Paice says that the tracks are there for all the second album except the vocals. So they tried to locate the masters, apparently, to give them to Tony Ashton as a wedding gift, but they couldn't find them. So what you get, I guess, with those bonus tracks are kind of some unfinished master stuff.
They couldn't find them.
I know, like the stuff is maddening to me as someone who's like a kind of natural archivist. Like the fact that he's like, how could you lose anything?
You know, they're probably in Blackmore's basement next to the friggin'
Black,
concerto.
Blackmore's like, yeah, I didn't even have any skin in this game, but I just stole them anyway. I was in Music Land. I saw something that said Paice, Ashton, Lord. He's like, I know two of those guys. I'm taking this.
You're just like another elaborate Richie Blackmore prank.
When he dies, they're just gonna he's gonna leave all this stuff in his will to people. And they're gonna be so happy to have it back. They'll be like, you son of a bitch. John Lord's estate is gonna finally get the missing score from the concerto back.
They're gonna have like a camera rush up to them. You've been Blackmored.
They're gonna do a reality show. Guess what, sucker? You just been Blackmored.
And they'll have this sound effect in the background. I don't know.
You got Blackmored. Oh, I could see the logo for the show and everything. It'd be great.
But Blackmored with like, apostrophe D,
yep. Oh, of course.
Not even ED, It's like
Blackmored. More like Blackless. Oh, all right.
I just have a picture of Richie with like the little mustache and the pilgrim hat, like just like shrugging emoji.
Uh-huh.
Who, me? The sound effect.
Oh boy. So to close it out, in the news, we got a few exciting stuff. So that author Laura Shenton, who's working on the Tommy Bolin book, is keeping very busy. And I actually got in touch. I don't know if I talked about this in the last episode.
I think you did a little bit, yeah.
So got in touch with her, and she is also working on a book on Cozy Powell called Dance with the Devil, the Cozy Powell story. So that's going to be out in March. And looking forward to getting those books and talking with her, maybe doing another interview, having her on the show, or whatever, however we figure that out. Deep Purple announced just the other day a new live album, Live in Rome 2013, being released in December. So that should be cool. And then finally, Graham Bonnet and Joe Satriani, both to be inducted into the Heavy Metal Hall of Fame in January.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well deserved.
Yes. I don't have my normal pictures saved. I thought I had done that, but apparently I didn't, but we can just march on. This week in Purple history, this episode will come out the week of December 9th through the 18th. I'm sorry, 9th through the 15th. And on December 11th, 1968, the Book of Taliesin is released in the U.S., and it would not see release in the UK until July of the following year, 1969. We talked about way back then, episode whatever, 2, 3, whatever that was. We talked about how they just really weren't making any headway in the UK, and it got released like right before they released the Deep Purple album. They like almost released them simultaneously. The management was a mess at that point. In December 9th, 1973, Deep Purple Mark III plays their first gig in Copenhagen. So that's a big day right there. And then I'm sorry, I've got to find a picture for this one because it's just too funny. This is an anniversary of something that happened at a Deep Purple gig. So they were playing. This must have been at the very beginning of their comeback when they were, of course, now this is like a super famous picture and I can't find it. This was at the beginning of their comeback. So they had done this comeback special sort of thing. And they believe they started their tour in Australia because we talked about that, I think, in a previous episode. And of course I can't find it. Son of a gun. But oh, there it is. Perfect. So they were at the show and George Harrison was in the audience and he comes on stage, and I don't know the significance of this, but he introduces himself as Arnold Grove, and who knows why. And he jumps on stage with Deep Purple. And this is a picture from backstage, which I'm familiar with. So if you have Ian Gillan's book, you've probably seen this, but it's John Lord, George Harrison, Ian Paice. I'm sorry, Ian Gillan, and I'm not sure who the other gentleman is. But Ian Gillan is 100% naked except for a sock covering you know what. And George Harrison is smirking and pointing to Ian Gillan's sock. And John Lord is just kind of lurking over them like an ogre.
Yeah, he does. He does look like a big friggin' ogre.
And they're all, it must have been right after the show. John Lord's all sweaty with his shirt off.
And like George Harrison looks like, if you said that was Mick Jagger, I would have thought it was Mick Jagger.
Yeah, I mean, he's wearing like an outfit that looks like, somebody from Miami Vice would have been wearing. Like a floral patterned shirt with like a blazer and matching pants.
Yeah. And then you got this guy over here who's just kind of like, ha ha, Gillan's naked.
He's just cracking up, and I'm sure some Deep Purple diehard will be like, "You idiots, that's so-and-so." Maybe it's Colin Hart. I don't know.
That's so-and-so, yes, so-and-so.
That's so-and-so, you so-and-so. You guys call yourself the Deep Purple podcast, and you don't know who that guy is? He was the road manager in 84 to 86. I'm sure he's a very important person in Deep Purple history, and I apologize for not knowing who he is. But anyway, great picture. I didn't get my other pictures together, but I had to have that one ready because it's just too much.
Oh yeah, the first time I saw that one, I was like, "What am I even looking at?"
It's just great.
What in God's name is this picture?
What are they doing?
Like Ian wearing nothing but a sock, and only
I wonder what George Harrison played with Deep Purple.
Like what song?
Yeah, or what at all. It's just kind of funny. Did like Richie just leave and he took over? Did he join Richie? Like Richie and George. I can't imagine Richie sharing the stage with any guitar player.
Yeah, like Richie just like he got up on stage and Richie just stormed off.
He just found a cameraman to beat up and then left. Hit him over the head with his guitar.
Imagine that was part of like his rider or something. It's just like M&M's, 6 beers, several bottles of water, a fruit basket, a cameraman to beat the shit out of. It's just like standard clause.
One cameraman.
Standard clause, pilgrim hat, elf shoes, loot,
3-sided hat,
several pastrami sandwiches. Just all sorts of random crap.
And a bottle of your finest mead.
Oh, Richie. Right. We love him.
Another episode, another album in the bag.
Yeah.
Hope you all enjoyed that one. If you're digging that album, definitely check it out. If you're not digging it, well, to heck with you then. It's good stuff.
Go mash some potatoes.
Go suck an egg. Isn't that what they used to say? Go suck an egg.
Yeah, blow it out your ditty bag.
An itty bitty ditty bag.
I don't know what it'd be, but yeah, if you don't like it, then yeah, I'll probably be rocking out to this on the way to work tomorrow. Like I usually, that's why I did the Glenn Hughes CD, you know.
And then you were like, oh, I think I was too hard on that album. It's pretty good.
I was like listening back to it later, and I'm like, actually, a couple of these are pretty good. But I mean, it was literally like lasted for like a few days, and now I forgot about it.
Yeah.
In obscurity again.
There's too much other stuff going on.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, until next week, my friend, I bid you adieu.
Adieu.
All right. Later.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Deep Purple Podcast. If you like what you hear and would like more episodes in the future, please donate on Patreon to support the show. You can also give us a rating on iTunes to help new people discover the show. You can follow us on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook for show updates. See deeppurplepodcast.com for more details. Thank you for listening.